Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Show. It is Monday. We have 6 games here on tonight's main slate, kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern, going through the 10:30 p.m. Eastern time hour. James, you were on the playbook today. Some injury news that we were hopeful to get came through. Some other injury news that we were not expecting also came through, which will turn the slate upside down a little bit here, huh?
Yeah, this slate is a whole lot of mess. With Toronto rolling a bunch of guys out, notably Emmanuel Quickly and Gary Trent Jr., as well as Chris Boucher, but Boucher was on the injury report going into today.
Right.
RJ Barrett has basically been lifted from the injury report. He's probable, so we'll see if he plays. Wouldn't be surprised if that illness got worse throughout the day and he doesn't play, but obviously, the Toronto, whatever's going on in Toronto is going to be very important today, unfortunately, because they're in Denver. So it's not like this was a fun spot to begin with.
Right.
The Boston news, everyone but Drew Holiday is playing. So Tatum, Brown, Derek White, all in. They are down 2 starters, obviously, in Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. But, their 2 horses are playing, as you alluded to last night. Monday in Charlotte, Monday in Portland for Jason Tatum. Never a doubt that he was going to play, really. What else came through? And then the Cleveland news. The Cleveland news, we didn't really know what to think. Well, Donovan Mitchell late last night after we recorded the podcast was basically ruled out.
Yeah.
And then there was actually a after we recorded as well, Garland was seen icing his wrist, and he's not listed on the injury report, which I found interesting because he was icing his wrist. There was apparent wrist injury from last night, but Mitchell, Mobley, Strus, Wade all ruled out for Cleveland. No Garland on the injury report, so that's something to monitor with the back-to-back with the wrist. But there's obviously still news we're awaiting. Devin Vassell, I guess the official word on Devin Booker, Jeremy Grant. So there's still some news, but we got a lot of things come through the wire already.
For sure. When taking a look at some game totals and matchups, what are the ones that you're looking to target in on? Again, 6 games here today. So, we expect to see some high rostership on certain players. Is there a total or game that you're looking to stack tonight? No stacks.
I mean, Dallas, Chicago is probably the best game environment.
Sure. I would agree with you there. Charlotte, Detroit, I know we have some interesting guys there as well. Let's just get into it. Point guard position, Luka Doncic's 12-4. There's obviously value to get there to him tonight. We had a comment on our show this morning saying fade Luka, Kyrie's going to eat. Do you agree or disagree?
There's really no merit to that comment other than the fact that Kyrie's really good. And of course he can eat. But I also saw in that comment is all good runs come to an end. I don't know if that commenter believes that Luka Doncic is equivalent to Jeremy Lin, but I don't believe that, John. I think Luka Doncic might be a little better than Jeremy Lin, personally. And obviously he's not going to triple-double every game from here on out. And obviously he's not going to have 30 points in a triple-double every game from here on out. But he's done it against bad teams. He's done it against good teams. He's done it in slow-paced matchups. He's done it in fast-paced matchups. He scored 45 actual against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who ranked 3rd in defense. Right. He scored a 37-point triple-double against the Boston Celtics, best team in the NBA, 2nd-ranked defense. He did a 35-point triple-double and hit 7 threes against Miami Heat. They are the 8th-ranked defense in the NBA. So, and a massive pace-down spot. So, I think where the commenter is correct, obviously he is not going to have triple-doubles every game out from here on out. That is, apparent. But who's to say he's not going to do it again against the Bulls, who allow a lot of 3-point field goals to go in? Luka has made 4+ in 4 straight games.
Yeah.
Alex Caruso, very good on-ball defender. Granted, so is Drew Holiday and so is Derek White. And so is Jimmy Butler when they put Jimmy Butler on him. And so is like insert like Simone Fontecchio in Detroit. Like there's a lot of good on-ball defenders that haven't been able to stop Luka. So yeah, if you want to play Luka, play Luka. If you don't, I just updated the ownership. He's not getting a lot of it.
No, he's not.
So like I think
on a small slate to get 10-ish plus % Luka Doncic, I mean, like.
So I think it's updated, right? 18.
Oh, okay. So earlier this morning, then it was like 12.
Well, now like the field is realizing like, oh, well, I could just play like these dudes in Toronto and maybe some Boston value that we'll get to, and now I can fit Luka more comfortably. So it's up to 18. But either way, if that holds, now 18, that's suggesting large field tournaments. In single entries, that'll be probably 30. That'll probably be 2x the ownership that we're seeing. But like anything less than a 50% Luka that gets you 70 plus fantasy points is a win. So
I agree with you 100%. Justin, happy to see you in the chat, man. I heard you had some success over the weekend. Congrats on that. Donnie, thanks for coming into the show as well. A lot of value today, and we will get to that as well. So if we're not going up top with Luka Doncic, obviously there's some guys here in the mid-tier. You and I were big on Cade Cunningham on the show this morning. Darius Garland, obviously at 8K. Great spot for all of Chicago in that matchup against Dallas here today. But, do your eyes just sort of jump down to the value tier if you're not playing Luka at point guard tonight?
Yeah, I mean, like a way to get different is definitely Cade, Jamal Murray, Garland. That would probably be like that would be a solid tier to pick from. I think Cade's in a great spot against Charlotte. Bottom 3 defense. Cade's been awesome. Back-to-back 30-point double-doubles. Almost triple-doubled against Dallas last time out. Obviously, pace down spot against Charlotte. Jamal Murray was getting a lot of ownership this morning. Obviously, like, how competitive is that game going to be? I mean, can Kelly O and RJ Barrett keep the fighting Raptors alive here, John? I mean, tune in to find out, but it's in Denver. So, like,
the fighting Ramses, I think we're
fighting
today, right?
the fighting Liberty, Freedom Liberties. Like, there's a bunch of different, like, play on the Raptors there, but like Jamal Murray, Jamal Murray's getting more ownership than Luka right now on DraftKings. So like, if you want to get to Murray, he's been great, 50 plus fantasy points in 3 of his last 4. It's just 37 plus minutes in all those games. Is Jamal Murray playing 37 minutes tonight?
Right.
It's a 17-point spread. It wouldn't shock me. Denver's been dealing like Murray and Jokic have been on the injury report a lot lately. You wouldn't be surprised, like randomly, like 8 p.m. one of those dudes weren't playing, right? Just like, Toronto, we could probably win this game.
Once they look at the starting lineup and they see, Grady Dick, Jordan Nwora, Freedom Liberty, like, is Otto Porter back? Like, what's the deal? Is he out there? Like,
I think he just got cut today, actually, from by the Utah Jazz. Which, by the way, did you know that Otto Porter was on the Utah Jazz?
He's still on Toronto. That's what I'm saying. So, like, exactly, right. So that could definitely be. We've seen that before, right? Like, I think with the Lakers, all of a sudden the Lakers were late game. They saw who they're up against. Like, you know what? LeBron and AD are gonna have a night here today. So but in the value tier, obviously Derek White's getting some love here today because there's no Drew Holiday. We got Jaden Ivey, I know you're a fan of. Micic has been really good for us lately there. He's got that matchup against Detroit. You have the Portland guards. I mean, then you go even further down to where the real value is on the slate with the Toronto guys, with maybe some Peyton Pritchard for us at least today. How are you ranking some of these value guards out?
So I think Freeman Liberty would probably be first for me over all of them. And I say that because he has been operating as their backup point guard, right? Like over the last 3 games, he has played 18 minutes in 3 straight games. 2 of them have been super competitive. One of them was a rout, right? Mm-hmm. Now you remove Emmanuel Quickly and you remove Gary Trent. Like, they just don't have the depth. So Freeman Liberty would probably be first for me. Point guard, shooting guard eligible. He's been decent on a fantasy point per minute basis. Not great, not terrible. But you have to assume he gets the first crack at it. Jamias Ramsey is also obviously in play. $3,000 point guard only, which is where I think you get a little bit of better play from Liberty because he is multi-position eligible. I'm good with both those guys. Peyton Pritchard, I assume he doesn't start, right? Because he just never starts when this is the case. Like, it's probably a Hauser spot start, Horford Hauser. That would be my guess, and because you could play Derek White as the primary point guard, like there's no issue. Because also you have Brown and Tatum handling the ball as well. You never need to put another guard on the floor, but Pritchard should play low to mid 20s minutes. I'm not expecting a 30-minute game out of Peyton Pritchard. But
unless he gets a blowout, right?
Not unless there's a blowout.
He's probably in for 20-ish plus minutes tonight as the backup guard. So if it gets blowout run, I think maybe he could approach that.
I would say my only pushback there would be if Freeman Liberty started, he's in line for both. He's in line for a start and blowout run, right? Where Pritchard is going to play low 20s minutes, probably if it's a competitive game. Only gets to Freeman Liberty or Ramsey's minutes, I think, if there's a blow, which obviously there could be. Boston hasn't been the same team on the road. We've talked about that before, but I'm good with any of them. And then in terms of like the mid-tier, value-ish tier, definitely like Derek White, 1.24 fantasy points per minute without Porzingis and Drew Holiday this year. I think Derek White's a great play running the point. Chris Paul as well, 6,900. I think both those guys in the mid-tier make a lot of sense. I do love Jaden Ivey, and I do love that they've staggered. And you and I you looked it up on Popcorn Machine last night. Like him and Cade, they're learning how to coexist, but also Monty Williams learning how to stagger their minutes. So I like Jaden Ivey quite a bit. If you can't get to Cade, 5,900, he should be a 6K plus player. And then Portland TBD. Like, I like the scoop minutes, 26. Going to come off the bench seemingly for the rest of the year. Delano Banton. Does Delano Banton start, you think, whether or not Jeremy Grant plays? I mean, I don't think that you start Banton over Toumani Camara, personally. Like, I think if Grant starts, or if Grant's playing, it's Simons, Camara, Grant, Ayton. Man, I guess. Oh no, I guess Delano Banton. Maybe Banton does start regardless. So, maybe Chris Murray. I would assume Delano Banton though. So maybe some Delano Banton, maybe some Scoot, but GPP only on those guys.
Sure. Moving on over to the shooting guard position here. Again, Devin Booker's up top, expected to play 9K. Kyrie Irving, as we mentioned, he's 88. Jaylen Brown off the injury report, $7,800. We definitely like some of the mid-tier plays here. Karis LeVert, $6,700 at home against Phoenix here. You mentioned the Jaden Ivey call already. What's your shooting guard position looking out like today?
Jaylen Brown would probably top the list for me. He's been really good. He's also a guy that averages a bunch of fantasy points per minute without Porzingis. 2 games removed from breaking the slate at less than 1% ownership. So all this like pelvis talk, he looks perfectly fine to me.
Sure.
Maybe I'm tripping, but 34 plus minutes in 3 straight games. 1 down game against Cleveland, but they're a good defensive team. I like Brown. Vassell, if he plays, is fine. Brandon Miller in tournaments, definitely fine. Karis LeVert, as you mentioned, he's going to start, I assume. That was what they did last night. They have the same exact basic rotation tonight. I assume LeVert gets the start.
Yeah.
Unfortunate game for Cleveland last night. I mean, Cam Thomas was really good. They lost, but didn't have to really play the fourth quarter. So should see LeVert in the starting lineup. He's pretty popular tonight. Really good eligibility, obviously.
Yep.
Ivy's good. Someone I've really come around today is Alex Caruso, 5,300. Not going to get a lot of shot volume, as we know. And he's obviously going to guard Luka. That's front and center. He's going to guard their best player. But he's really just good peripherally. We know Luka's can be pretty turnover prone.
Yeah.
And if Alex Caruso is going to approach 36 minutes, 5,300 is just a too cheap price. Best game environment on the board, 232 implied points, close spread. Bulls have been a lot better of late. So I'd be okay getting into some Caruso at 5,300.
How much Grady Dick are you playing today?
I don't care for Grady Dick. I mean, like,
he's going to play 40 minutes, right?
Yeah. It's just like, so like Here's where I just would rather get exposure to like other guys of Toronto.
Okay.
He has not done enough peripherally, and I understand that there's guys out of the lineup and stuff, but there's been
He's
guys.
going to have opportunities today to do more than he's been asked to do before.
He's just not. He cannot play on the ball. He is not someone who plays on the ball. He is still a very raw player, other than his spot up shooting ability. His ability to move without the ball and his ability to spot up and shoot. That doesn't correlate to like extra fantasy points really anywhere else. Like, he's not a good rebounder. They've been without Scotty Barnes and Jakob Poeltl. He's not a good passer. Yes, Emmanuel Quickley is not there, but it's not like RJ Barrett's not going to be on the ball more. If I lose because of Grady Dick going off, like, so be it. There's just like not a lot of appeal other than the fact that he was a first round pick. He's had a couple of good shooting games. He's not 3,400 like he was. He's not $3,000 like he was. Like, I'm okay if that's where you land. He's gonna play 40 minutes. It's just I'm just not like I don't think there is a ton of upside in the matchup like there is for other value plays on Toronto.
I think if RJ Barrett gets ruled out, I think you have to play him.
So Barrett's probable, and obviously that could change.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, like it could. I mean, he was upgraded to probable.
Yeah.
So like things are trending in the right direction for Barrett. So like Grady Dick falls potentially third, potentially on the shot chart, right? Like, Olynyk's gonna have the ball in his hand and make a lot. Barrett's gonna have his ball, hand in his ball.
You got it.
The ball in his
Just
hand.
Don't play the next name with the hand.
Yes, true. And then Freeman Liberty operating as your likely point guard, or Jamias Ramsey operating as your point guard, like whatever that order of point guard is. We don't know the status of Bruce Brown officially. He could be in the mix here. Sure. There's just not a lot of like, people want to get to Grady Dick, sure, but like, I would have been more attracted to the price if it was 39, 4,000, 41. He's just getting a $4,600 price tag lately because he's playing a lot of minutes. So throughout all my slip ups there, I did not slip on the. Just kidding. Anyways,
you like KCP? He's 48.
Yeah, he's fine. But
other side of that matchup now, right?
It's just dude, like, how many minutes do all these guys play? I know I know, like I said, I'm not like, I'm stamping where I'm not worrying about blowout. I mean, Toronto is without they lost to Portland outright with Emmanuel Quickley.
Yeah.
I know there was no Barrett. Now there's no Gary Trent. He's their best on-ball defender, you know? So yeah, you get it, Donnie. His ball, the ball, all the balls. Yes. It's I don't know. I feel better about like Denver backups than I do about Denver, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Not news for today, but news for tomorrow. OG Anunoby could return tomorrow. Bruce Brown still questionable. If he plays, obviously impacts that rotation. I always tell you this, right? When lineups change, you have to change the expectations for the players that you've seen. If all of us, Emmanuel Quickley's been out there grabbing 7 or 8 rebounds, like these guys that are now out of the lineup, it could just result to Grady Dick having to do more because of who's on the floor. So at 4,600, knowing he's already been playing with the ones and getting those kind of minutes and double-digit shot attempts, I could just see him having a shooting night here. At the small forward position, $9,500 for Jason Tatum against Portland. Miles Bridges here at $87. DeMar DeRozan's at $8,200. The aforementioned RJ Barrett, Brendan Miller we've discussed. If you're looking at the top half of the small forward position here today, who are some of the locks?
I mean, you could definitely get to JT. They've just been infinitely more competitive in more competitive games on the road throughout the year. So if you think Portland has any type of opportunity to keep this competitive, then Tatum plays 40 minutes and he has a lot of upside. Definitely can get to Bridges. He's looked amazing the last 2 games on the court. The price is obviously on the rise, but it's a really good pace of spot for Charlotte here. Everything's flowing through Bridges. I mean, 42 shot attempts in the last 2 games is crazy. And the back-to-back double-doubles are nice too. So you can definitely get to Bridges. I cover Boyd DDR in the playbook today. He's been amazing. The minutes have been incredible for a guy this season. The peripheral stats have been this amazing. Are they sustainable? Probably not. 8 rebounds, 10 assists last game. We know the scoring's sustainable though, and I don't think Dallas has the defenders for DeRozan. Like they're gonna probably start the game with PJ Washington on him. I think that's a nightmare for PJ Washington trying to stop DeMar DeRozan off the bounce. So I love DeRozan at 82. Like you can get to any of those guys in the 8K tier. If you want to play Barrett on a whim, like thinking they can keep this game close, then obviously he's a large contingent as to why. But I personally haven't gotten to any RJ Barrett yet.
Sure.
Outside of like the dirt cheap Toronto guys, I really haven't had much love for Toronto.
How are you approaching San Antonio today with Wemby back?
I think it's more important we know about the Vassell news because Wemby can get there just doing Wemby things.
Mm-hmm.
Rebounds, blocks, assists. And like I know he's gonna take like somewhere in the teens and shots, but like so is Devin Vassell. So I don't have a lot of interest at like Keldon at 6K, Sohan 59 if Vassell's in. You can get there if you want, but if Vassell's out, I could see myself getting to a share or two of Keldon or Sohan and stuff like that. But until we know the Vassell news definitively, I don't have much interest in either.
Okay. We touched on some of Cleveland. Obviously, Okoro here is 5K. Niang is $4,800. Thoughts on them against Phoenix here this evening?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually surprised to see Okoro getting more ownership than Georges Niang because nobody wants to play Isaac Okoro, but now it's max price Isaac Okoro and everyone wants to click them. Like, I understand they're shorthanded and stuff, but like, isn't that funny how that works? Like, nobody this whole stretch, I've been like hey, he's just outproducing his price tag, and now suddenly he's 5K, and everyone's like, let's actually click Isaac Okoro tonight. Like, how does that work? I honestly like. He's going to play big minutes, so I have no problem getting there. But if Georges Niang is just going to be cheaper, I'm just going to, or lower owned, I'm just going to play Georges Niang, right? Like Niang's been better offensively than Okoro.
Yeah, 3-point shooting has been great, right? 3 or more in all 4 games he's started. So
yeah, that's not a shot at Okoro because Okoro's also been good scoring and shooting and doing all that stuff. But like, why suddenly Isaac Okoro getting more ownership than Georges Niang? When we know what the news is, like we know this is the same lineup, right?
Yep.
Niang's going to start at the 4. Okoro's going to start at the 3. There's no Dean Wade. They really don't have depth. Like Garland even is dealing with like an injured wrist. So why Georges Niang, who's been better, is getting less ownership for less money is news to me. But I'm just going to play the lower owned and lower price guy in Niang. Not to say Okoro's a bad play, but just funny how those things work, right?
Yeah, no, it is kind of funny there, especially on, DraftKings, the 3-point shooting for Niang plays up. Obviously, FanDuel, you get a little more of the defensive numbers there for Okoro. Pricing isn't too far off. Niang 52, Okoro 57 over on FanDuel. What else are we looking at for small forward? Where are you with the value plays today?
I mean, Ausar Thompson news is critical. I think it's interesting. Left last game with an illness, right? Mm-hmm. Wasn't on the initial injury report, and then downgraded midday. So if he doesn't play, like Simone is locked and loaded. Great spot. He's going to play as many minutes as he can. Obviously, Quentin Grimes returning is interesting. I think Grimes will float between like the 2 and the 3 a little bit. So not the best news if Ausar Thompson's in for Fontecchio, but if Thompson's out, Fontecchio, another guy I'd rather play over Grady Dick, truthfully. Like Niang, I'd rather play over him. Fontecchio for $100 to $200 more. That's really where my interest lies. Then you go down to like under 4K. Sam Hauser probably starts. Now, is that exciting? No. You know my feelings on Sam Hauser's starting lineup. Not exciting at all. But, they used to have more guys, and then they traded them all. So we'll see what the Hauser minutes look like. But I could see mid to upper 20s if Hauser's in the starting lineup. dude. And then Jalen McDaniels, like we were kind of like interested how the rotation would play out if Boucher played. He's $3,600. Boucher is out.
Yep.
And if Bruce Brown is also out, I mean, what's stopping McDaniels from operating as like small forward, power forward backup, right? Likely they go back to the Jonte Porter backup center minutes that they were giving Boucher. But Boucher also played alongside Kelly Olynyk for
We talked about that,
for that fourth quarter. And like, I know RJ can operate small forward, power forward for this team too, but I don't know. Jalen McDaniels looked really good. He played in overtime, like obviously gaining the trust of Darko there. So interesting play for GPPs. Not unless he's starting, not a cash game play, but definitely interesting in tournaments.
Okay. Let's move on over to the power forward position here. Again, a lot of guys we've discussed. Kevin Durant is sitting here at $9,900 that we haven't. Do you rank Durant over Tatum, Bridges, DeRozan, or where does he fit in for you?
I mean, this is obviously not the same Cleveland defense, right? Sans Mobley. They do have Isaac Okoro. I think Okoro probably guards Devin Booker, which is a tough matchup for Devin Booker. But I mean, Devin Booker, if he gets it going, he gets it going. That could put like Yang on Kevin Durant, like that's not fun for Georges. So, yeah, I mean, Durant's fine. I wouldn't say I put him over Tatum because there's missing pieces for Boston. Obviously, a better matchup overall where like Phoenix is getting healthier today, getting Devin Booker back, having Yusuf Nurkic. The only piece they're missing really is Eric Gordon. So, I wouldn't put him over like Tatum. I like DeRozan per dollar probably a little bit more. I like Bridget. He's probably fourth. Not to say that I don't like Kevin Durant. I just like the pricing on the other guys a little bit more.
Okay. Mid-tier range, then where are we going from there?
Kuminga's interesting in tournaments. The minutes have been ticking back upwards for him. Nothing else. I mean, it's more value plays like Horford at 54, who's going to start at center tonight. I think is a great play. Not as good as he was the other day, sub 5K, but 5,400 is perfectly fine. 2 starters down. If Jeremy Grant's out, Tumani Kamara should play another 30 plus minutes. Only problem with that is foul trouble looming. He's very aggressive. If Ausar Thompson does sit, I do think Isaiah Stewart should get a little bit of bump, maybe more consistent on the glass because Ausar Thompson's a psychopath on the glass.
Sure.
He is constantly attacking the glass. Not a lot of upside there. But then it's like guys we mentioned plus Davis Bertans. Like no reason to think Bertans doesn't play another 26 to 32 minutes, right?
Like I feel like we're Spider-Man memeing Bertans and Niang here, right? Like
dude. I mean, and if Asor's out, Simone, they could just like put them all in the same bucket, like kind of just guys that have increased roles right now, and you could play them if you want. Yeah. So, I think all three of them. What do you? I mean, I gotta ask, like, do you? We skipped over him. Would you play Bruce Brown? He's a point guard, small forward. Would you play Bruce Brown if he played?
Yeah, as long as there's not any sort of limitations on him, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trey Mann officially ruled out, which that was.
Yeah, we expected that.
He was doubtful, so.
Yep, I agree with you. Any other power forwards? Moving on over to center.
No.
Okay, how are you deciding between Jokic, Wemby here tonight?
I'm interested in Wemby and I'm not interested in Jokic.
Okay.
I mean, it's just 11-6 for 3 quarters is going to be that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, agreed. Obviously, you mentioned you like Al Horford here tonight. He's down here at $5,400. Is there another mid-tier center that you would gravitate towards first? Or are you just taking the Horford savings? Earlier in the day, Jalen Duran was getting a lot of ownership love.
Yeah, I mean, I like Vooch, 8,300. Derek Lively back. He's going to have that's a tough cover for Lively. And we know, like, Gafford was part of the Washington team that allowed the most fantasy points to opposing center. So, like, It's a good matchup for Vooch all around. Good pace-up spot for the Bulls in general. So, I like Vooch. I still have interest in Jared Allen too at 86. Like another guy who just victim to a blowout loss yesterday. 29 minutes, 34 fantasy points. He was 1 rebound shy of a double double. And you mentioned it on the show. He scored 33 points against Rudy Gobert, who's your unanimous defensive player of the year this year. So I'd be okay getting to Jared Allen or Vooch in the mid tier. Ayton, I mentioned I like Ayton in tournaments if there's no Jeremy Grant, because Ayton's kind of been a psychopath at times lately. Yeah. He has been way better. The Jalen Duren thing is definitely interesting because Charlotte stinks at defending centers. Jalen Duren stinks at staying out of foul trouble.
Yeah.
What's going to give, right? Like, is Jalen Duren going to be able to stay out of foul trouble? Because when he does, he gets you 15 rebounds in a game, and he has 2020 upside. I mean, we saw 2020 like a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So like 6,400 is a too cheap price for Jalen Duren if he can stay out of foul trouble and stuff. But that's always the obvious. That's always the worry. I'm not gonna like roster or not roster him because I think he's gonna pick up 4 fouls in 16 minutes and get a
his rebound prop tonight set at 12.5. So like that's a pretty big total for a guy.
I mean, what is Charlotte gonna do? Like Nick Richards and Grant Williams, like if Duren stays on the floor, they have no chance. And if there's no Asar Thompson, like that's even better. Again, another like guy who is very aggressive on the glass, not there. Like Simone's good, but not Asar Thompson good at rebounding. So like I like Jalen Duren a lot. 6,400. I'm eating that chalk for sure.
Okay. Obviously Al Horford is down here. Was there any other value centers that you'd be looking to play? You playing Jackson Davis tonight at $4,400?
Yeah, he's the highest roster player of the slate. And it's an interesting one, and I think it's something to consider. We don't know what their starting lineup is going to be on a day-to-day basis. They've been starting Wiggins for an extended period of time. They brought Wiggins back in the starting lineup when he initially returned, and now he's coming off the bench. Is that going to continue? Do they think in this matchup particularly they want Clay to start because Clay started the second half in this game? Are they going to do like a Valanciunas-Nance thing where Jackson Davis starts the game but doesn't start the second half, and then we get 18 minutes instead of 24? I'm good with getting to Jackson Davis. He's obviously an elite fantasy point per minute guy. Yeah. It doesn't take a lot to see that. Like, he is a great fantasy producer. I just obviously prefer him starting to him not starting. So he also, he didn't have to deal with Wemby last game. And that's not the case this game where Victor Wembanyama is now playing. So I'm good with the chalk, especially like playing single entry. 65% of the field is going to play Jackson Davis with me, right? And I'm not going to really get hurt by that but also there's only 2 games locking before that game. Your issue is if you're playing Jackson Davis, you're playing him and Jalen Duren. That could be an issue because like now you're playing 2 centers locked at 8. Your util's taken up. So you might have to make a decision whether you want to fade Jackson Davis or play both Jalen Duren, who's getting 21%, and Jackson Davis, who's getting 44%. But yeah, I'm okay. My initial build had Jackson Davis, and that was I built this morning pre like Raptors news, pre all this news, Boston news. So like my initial build had Jackson Davis. I can't imagine I'm going to pivot there.
Right, now that he's got all the chalk there, right? So,
yeah.
All right, well, let's build a lineup then. We'll plug Jackson Davis in first, center position here. We go on Luka then with the value that's on this table here?
Yeah, let's go Freeman Liberty too, because I do think that's where they go with their starting lineup. Plug him at the guard spot or shooting guard. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay, go a little DeMar DeRozan come back for Niang, I guess, would be power forward. You go Davis. 49.
Yeah.
That gives us 5,900. You liked Ivy.
Jaden Ivey. Yep, Jaden Ivey.
You liked Ivy there. And then that gives us a 59 util. Is that Horford?
54. Yeah, Micic, Horford.
Micic is good. I'll run it back with some Micic. That works. More competitive game there. right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that gets us a Luka lineup there with $100 left over. I really love DeMar DeRozan. I think those two there could go for 140 points tonight. Honestly, between the two of them. So big spot there. I see some of your questions in here. Anthony wants to know, do we think Booker drops 60 and Durant against 60 against Cleveland?
That's hard to do. Like both getting 60
fantasy points. I'm assuming you're saying.
Yeah,
I don't know about Booker today. Durant maybe. I mean, Durant's being defended by Niang and Okoro, I guess, would probably draw that assignment. So
no, I think Okoro guards
Booker,
but it could be. Okoro, he could also guard Durant. He's their best on-ball defender. So who?
Yeah, I could see Okoro going there and Garland guarding Booker probably, or LeVert. LeVert's not terrible.
Yeah, LeVert.
They have a couple of guards they could throw on there. Then if we're going Joker Durant, we're gonna go Durant. Toronto's starting a G League team tonight, basically outside of Barrett and Olynyk. So hard to pay up for Joker when we think he plays 25 minutes tonight. So guys, example lineup for you. Obviously, small slate, shorter show. We'll be back tomorrow. Get us in the Discord if you have any questions. The playbook is out. James and I will obviously be around up until roster lock to help you guys all out here for tonight. But till then, we will see you all tomorrow.